This is how a 23-year-old Polish streamer broke the internet for charity. What started off as a simple challenge turned into a worldwide phenomenon that allowed them to raise a record-breaking amount of money. It's truly an incredible story, and this could only have happened in a place like Poland. So this guy, his name is Piotr Garkowski. He's a streamer from Warsaw. He has quite a bit of a following here. I think it's like on TikTok he has 2.4 million, and then on YouTube he has over 1 million subscribers. So he's mainly gotten famous for doing a bunch of like crazy stunt videos. For example, walking from Gdynia all the way to Krakow, which is like 500 kilometers by foot. Almost kind of like a Polish version of Mr. Beast. He has this Instagram photo of a foot, which got like 1.2 million Instagram likes in 24 hours, which also holds another record. He was also featured on the music video with Ed Sheeran in the song Azizam. So this guy is quite popular here in Polish internet. Now the backstory behind this whole entire challenge. So there's a famous rapper here in Poland that goes by weslythomasmusic, and he made a song with this 11-year-old cancer patient, Maja Mecen, titled Ciągle tutaj jestem, which means that I'm still here, and it's a diss track against cancer. It's complicated translating that because still is actually jeszcze, but then ciągle in this case means like continuous, but if you were to translate it directly it would still mean still, and that comes from like ciągnąć, which means to pull, or pociąg, which is like a train, or przyciągnąć, which also means to attract. This Polish language is quite complicated. So the purpose of the song is to raise money and awareness for Fundacja Cancer Fighters. So this song ended up going viral, and it caused everything that happened afterwards. On April 14th, 2026, in response to this song, Łatwogang posted a TikTok saying that they were going to be doing a charity event. And for every single like that the TikTok got, he was going to listen to the song back to back on repeat in order to raise money for this charity. Pretty simple idea, very Mr. Beast-esque idea. After 24 hours, I think it got like 767,000 likes or something like that. So that equated to a 9-day long stream. The original goal was just to raise 500,000 Polish zloty, which roughly comes out to around, I think, like 150,000 US dollars. But nobody knew how big this event was going to become. It was crazy how quickly it started to grow because there was a bunch of Polish influencers and famous people that also got into the stream. There was a counter on the top left that showed all these companies and famous people that donated it. Weslythomasmusic himself donated, I think, like 1 million zloty, which is like 250,000 US dollars. It's a lot of money. And at the end of the stream, after 179 hours, they were able to raise over 250 million zloty. So when the stream ended, it was on Sunday a couple days ago. I went to a Lady Punk concert that day, and the concert was fire, by the way. I might talk about it in a separate video. Everybody was talking about it, and everybody was watching the stream. And there was like 1 million people watching it at any given time. It was around like 800,000 to 1 million people, with the peak at like 1.5 million people. People I was in the car with were watching the stream. And even when I went to the concert, when I gave my coat to the check-in coat girls, they were also watching the stream. So it was really interesting seeing how united the country became around this thing. It's hard to pinpoint exactly why this worked so well. Today's day and age, it feels like social media is becoming so saturated and everything's just a bunch of noise. So it's been a very long time since we've seen a moment like this where it was like one big moment where everybody was able to gather around and it became like a giant meme or a giant thing. Even though this guy has done all of these really crazy challenges on his YouTube channel, one of his greatest strengths was that he seems to be a very authentic person. That seems to be one of the reasons why people trusted him so much. If you talk about just NGOs or these big corporations in general, I don't know about you, but I don't really feel comfortable giving my money to them because I don't really think it's going to the people that actually need the help. It's also really interesting seeing how Polish YouTube and social media is evolving. Recently, at least from the content I've seen, a lot of Polish social media now seems to be like a lot of brain rot content, especially the ones that are catered towards younger kids. The older YouTubers, like people my age, seems to be a lot of like podcasts and a lot of interview style stuff. But there were like YouTubers that were popular 10 years ago that seem to have like faded away. So it seemed like the golden era of Polish social media and YouTube has gone away. But I wonder if this event will cause like another spark in Polish media in general. Over the last couple of years, Poland has been all over social media for one reason or another, but seems like this country is gathering a lot of hype now, which is very exciting. Okay, so I've been living here in Poland for about 2.5 years. I've been studying the culture a lot, and there are a few cultural values that I think allowed something like this to happen, and I don't think this would have happened in any other country. So Poland is very interesting because it's a mix of a bunch of different cultures, because as an Asian person, there's a lot of like social culture here that reminds me of Asia or just Eastern culture in general. There's like social etiquette that everybody follows. You know, people are not really rude, everybody's polite, people will let you pass on the street. These kind of manners and etiquette don't really exist in a lot of European countries, but it exists here. But it also feels like America in a lot of ways, because American culture has heavily influenced Polish culture. That's one of the reasons why Poland and South Korea are very similar, because they were former communist countries that were freed by the West and are heavily influenced by American Western values. Because Poland is in Europe, they also have a lot of European values, right? So it's just like this weird mix of a bunch of different cultures and values in one country. But one thing that I really admire about this country is that they have this idea of solidarity. It goes back to their idea of family, and family is a very important value here. That even though they might like argue amongst themselves, and there's a secret joke that, you know, Polish people secretly hate each other, whenever there's like a big cause, such as a war or a common enemy or a common goal, Polish people have this superpower of being able to unite around it and trying to chase that goal. I think it goes to the years of conflict that Poland has had, you know, trying to fight in all of these wars and constantly being conquered by their neighbors. So they've always had to rally together to fight against a common enemy. It's almost like baked into their DNA. I would say that a lot of Eastern European and Slavic countries have this. Because of Poland's unique history, they have it the most. There's also this thing in the culture where you're supposed to help your neighbor. So you'll see even on the buses and public transportation here, a lot of the younger people, whether they're a boy or girl, will often give up their seats for the older people, just because it's like a common etiquette practice. You will never see that stuff in New York or in the UK, because everybody's kind of fighting for themselves. People will say that Poland is a racist country, and I would say that that is somewhat true. Because it's so homogenous, they have united values that everybody can agree upon. People here are so polite. They're also very proud of being polite, and I wouldn't say you would get publicly shamed for acting a fool, but very similar to Asian cultures, everybody is taught to kind of follow the social norm and to not be a nuisance and a bother to other people. Poland is also a very patriotic country, and I think a lot of people have seen that on the internet. Polskie Górum or something like that, like Poland to the top. Everybody here is extremely proud of their country, and even though they might complain about, you know, what the opposite political party is doing, or they might complain about small BS things here and there, at the end of the day, it comes from a place of love, and it's one way that they also show love, very similar to Asian parents. My Polish parents and I will joke around that we never hear from our parents that they're proud of us. It's just constant like criticism. Emotional, damn it! Maybe like acts of service as a way to show love, but at the end of the day, it comes from a place of deep love for country. And this is something that you can only really get in a deeply homogenous country with shared values and a shared history. There's also a respect in the culture for people who are going through hardships. Polish people have this perpetual victim mentality, but not in a way where it limits them. They're just like, you can't say any shit about us because we are equally as, I guess, victimized by history as any other group in the world. And Poland didn't really conquer any other countries as well. People will openly say the N-word or anything here, because when people try to say Polish people are racist, that doesn't really work here, because Polish people are equally as like victims, if that makes sense. And I think because the family and children are so important here, even though it's a bit of a contradiction because people aren't really having kids anymore, because of the song was sung by this 11-year-old cancer patient, maybe that like triggered an emotional response in the people as well. There's a lot of hidden values and elements behind why this event was so popular and why it happened the way that it did. It was really interesting to watch as an outsider, and I wonder if we're ever going to be able to see this again. The amount of money that it raised and how much hype it got, Mr. Beast hasn't been able to do this, or all these big companies trying to do all of these big events haven't been able to do it. Just one guy, a YouTuber in his bedroom was able to raise 250 million zloty. And I think that's a really amazing story to the power of social media. It's a really strong representative of Poland values and how they are as a country. I don't know about you guys, but being on social media, I feel like I have social media fatigue, because it feels like everything is just a bunch of noise now. So many people are trying to go viral for the sake of becoming viral, not really for a common good or for any gain that's like helping to society. It seems like a lot of media nowadays is just trying to sell you something, trying to increase the divide between men and women or from right and left. But it was nice seeing that this event seemed to unite people from all walks of life. Do you guys think that something like this could happen again? This to me seemed like a 1 in a million event, but I wonder if future streams are going to try to imitate this. If you guys are thinking about moving to Poland, if you are Polish living in other countries and thinking about moving back, I highly recommend setting up a consultation here where we can talk about the logistics behind it, which city would be best for you, if it makes sense to move back, and why living in Poland might be better for your situation than you think. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.